Yo, what is up guys? It's Pedro here, and in today's video I will be talking about the trade deadline and if the Washington Commanders should be buyers or sellers at the trade deadline and some trades that they could make. So if you guys are new, make sure to subscribe for Washington and NFL content on the road to 10,000 subscribers. So would really appreciate if you guys could hit that subscribe button. It's free, it takes 1 second, and hit that like button and turn on that notification bell. So the Washington Commanders are currently sitting at 3-4 on the season, and they're on a 2-game win streak. We'll see what happens on Sunday. If they win that game, they're at 4-4, and depending on what happens in that Giants-Seahawks game, if the Giants win, they would be, they would have the 7th seed in the NFC, which would put them in the playoffs if the season ended week 8. Obviously it doesn't, but they're somewhat close to being in that playoff picture. But of course, if they lose on Sunday, then they're, kind of far out. They're like a game or a game and a half away. So a lot can change this Sunday in terms of their mindset in, making trades. But I don't honestly think it'll change that much either way. I think they're not going to be that aggressive in the trade market, regardless of what happens if they win or lose. And even if they lose, I don't see that many pieces that they would want to ship away. The one obvious piece is William Jackson III that I think regardless, if they win or lose, I think that they should try to trade William Jackson III because he has contributed to losses, and I think him being off the field has contributed to wins for the Washington Commanders. So I would, if you can get anything for him, go ahead and do it. But let's start off with this Antonio Gibson stuff. So yesterday I did a preview video. Make sure you guys go ahead and check that out after this video. But I previewed the game and also talked about this Gibson rumor. Later, after I published it, Rivera kind of talked about how, this isn't true. He said, this is what Pete Haley said. Ron Rivera is very unhappy with the Antonio Gibson trade rumors. The running backs room is in a very good place. Tells Washington will not be doing anything with Antonio Gibson ahead of next Tuesday's deadline. And here's the thing. I really don't know why Rivera's upset, because nothing in the report is saying that the Commanders are going to trade Antonio Gibson. He said in this tweet, Antonio Gibson will command a nice return in a potential trade. He's on the 3rd year of his rookie deal and already a terrific receiving back as well. Again, I'm told the Commanders would prefer to keep him, nor are they shopping him. Just listening. So he's basically saying teams are calling. That's what he said in this tweet right here. People are interested in Antonio Gibson. Teams are interested, but the Commanders aren't shopping him. They're just listening to the trades. It's stupid not to listen to trades. You should always listen to trades, because maybe the GM makes a great offer and it's, just too hard to, you can't really refuse it. But, in this report, it says, they're not looking to trade him, and I don't really see why Rivera's upset. It is what it is. I don't think they're going to trade Antonio Gibson. I don't think they should. Running backs, usually not the best position to trade because, they provide, on a rookie deal, they provide high value to your team. But in terms of the value you're going to get, you might get a 4th-round pick for Gibson at most, maybe a 5th-round pick. James Robinson got a 5th-round pick, so maybe you can get James Robinson got a conditional 5th. So maybe you can get a 4th for Gibson. But that's really it. So is it really worth that? If next year it's another struggle year, or this offseason, if there's a new regime, which I don't think there's going to be, but if there is a new regime, and I'm not saying I don't think there should be a new regime, I just don't think Snyder's going to pull the trigger. But if there's a new regime, they can also trade Gibson this offseason and get whatever they want from him. But this year, keep him here, see what he can do for you. A 4th-round pick isn't really going to change anything for me. And also, if, because Robinson's looked okay, he hasn't looked great. If he starts to turn around a little bit, because again, he's only played in 3 games since he got, shot. So if he starts turning around and the second half of the year looks amazing, okay, that's when you trade Gibson. But right now, he's a valuable piece to this offense, and honestly, I think should be used a little bit more as a receiver and even get some more carries. I don't think they're going to trade him. I don't think they should. And yeah, that's what my thoughts are there. Don't think anything's going to happen either. And that's something that could maybe happen in the offseason. Let me know down below what you guys think about this Antonio Gibson stuff. But and then this is what Rivera said about the trade deadline. We're not looking to move anybody. If there's something outlandish, you've got to listen. But we have no intention of moving anyone. And kind of says, my note, William Jackson III will be the one to watch, but not sure what's going to happen there. And I mean, just if you can get anything for him, just trade William Jackson III. Just do it. He's not contributing to the team, and it's just awkward at this point because he's hurt. I don't really think he's hurt, though. Like, he's missing the last few games, but I think it's just because they're trying to move on from him. And I saw an article by Albert Breer saying the Commanders are shopping him, and they're trying to get whatever they can for him, but teams believe that if they can't get a trade done, they'll just release him. And that's what I have thought. But now that reports are coming out about that, maybe it's looking like once they start to say that, it's looking like it might just be a release because teams know he's going to be available. But maybe a team will be like, okay, I'll give up a 6th or 7th so that I guarantee that I get him, instead of 4 or 5 teams, battling it out with William Jackson III to see who gets him once he gets to the free agency. So I could see the Commanders getting a 7th round pick, 6th round pick, and to me, that is 100% a win. You get, even though it's not a great asset, you get an asset for a player that's not contributing to your team, and you get rid of a terrible contract. So if one move that I would 100% make this trade deadline is trading William Jackson III. I would stay put on Gibson. Daron Payne, I think that if we're 1-6 right now, and then there would be a chance of that. But also, he's been playing really well, and he could be a part of the future next year. I mean, we're going to have a lot of cap space next year because Carson Wentz likely not going to be here next year. So, we're going to have a lot of cap space to, possibly, re-sign Daron Payne or even Montez Sweat. Both those guys have been solid this year. Daron Payne started out really strong and has been, okay to solid the last few weeks. Montez Sweat was, okay the first few weeks, and the last, few of he's been really good. So interesting dilemma there. Who are you going to pay? Maybe you can pay both. And moving on from William Jackson III definitely helps you out there in the long run because his contract's like $14 million a year. So you'll save some money this year, but if you trade him, you're also going to save a ton of money next year as well. So that's why I definitely think they should do that. Daron Payne rather would not trade him unless you can get like a 2nd round pick for him, and even more than a 2nd round pick. If you can somehow get that, then I would consider it, but still would lean towards no, especially if we win on Monday or Sunday and we get to 4-4 and we have an actual chance of making the playoffs this year. I'd rather just see what he can do this year, and maybe you re-sign him in the offseason. If not, he leaves and you get a 3rd round compensatory pick the year after that. So my thoughts there, and let's get into just overall like players that. So I think there's not much for them to do this trade deadline. There's one player I think they should sell. And in terms of buying, I think maybe if you could help with the offensive line, like maybe you can trade for a guard. A team is shopping. I don't know if a team is, but if a team's shopping a guard, I would not mind giving up a 7th round, 6th round pick, or maybe it just be a William Jackson III offensive, guard swap. That would have to be a perfect trade if it works out with that team where they have a spare, guard and they need cornerback play. But that would work out, and that would be great. So that's really the only, we don't really need receivers right now. We're fine at running backs. Tight ends, it's like the tight end room isn't great, but it's like nothing. You have a lot of players there. So, can't really do much about that. Quarterback, forget about it. And then defensive line, I feel like we're good there. Maybe you could get some more depth, but I feel like some of those players have been surprisingly good. And maybe linebacker depth and cornerback depth, but that's really it. I think guard is the one where if you can try to get one guy or sign a guy that gets released after the trade deadline, that's something that I think they should strongly consider, because Trey Turner's likely to start this week, and that's not something I want to see. That is not something I want to see. So yeah, I think. But overall, I think the Commanders will be pretty quiet at the trade deadline. I probably see one move happening, and that's William Jackson III and maybe they trade for a guard or something like that. But even then, the last 2 years, I don't think they've made a single move. I don't think they've traded anyone or traded for anyone. If correct me if I'm wrong though. So that's it for today's video. Tomorrow, hopefully we get that win. Gonna be really excited if we do. And yeah, peace out, guys.